pop stars. Welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is brought to you by Robin Baskets, the original multi-flavor ice cream shop. They may have 31 flavors at that other place, but here we have 32. And we have never ever fired an Avenger. Check it out. Check out all the flavors at icecold.baskets. Tammy, are you an ice cream fan?
I am. I like gelato, though.
Oh, that's the best. I love
Yeah.
gelato. And I love frozen yogurt too. I love it all. But I think I'd rather have like gelato or frozen yogurt than actual like ice cream.
I've had the authentic gelato when I went to Italy, and ever since then, like, it's gelato before anything else.
So good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, this week we take a journey into time, I guess, or through time. Would it be in time or through time? We'll
Every time.
discuss. Um, as we jump into the quantum realm with Ant-Man and the Wasp and the family and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. That is a mouthful. Which officially kicks off phase 4 of the MCU as Scott and his family get sucked back into the quantum realm. And while trying to reunite with each other and find their way home, they also find themselves having to stay off of Kang the Conqueror's radar. So, Tammy, what did you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Was it a good time or an epic waste of time?
It wasn't boring. It was just dry. I guess we'll get into it. But, like, I wasn't bored necessarily watching it, but
Mm-hmm.
I did feel that it was dry. Like, it never truly pulled me into this world that it was trying to create. I guess for phase 4, as you said, like this world that they were trying to create and this storyline that they were trying to set up, never fully got invested in it or fully like jumped in. I was just like, okay, I'm watching this, like, kind of thing. So but it wasn't boring. It just wasn't interesting. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm sorry. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah.
It
That
does.
was my initial thought.
It makes plenty of sense. And
Okay.
I can't say that I disagree. I I at one point, I must say, I took a doze. I took a nap. Um and
Oh,
I
you know
went
that says something, Eddie.
Yeah, and I went after work though. So, it's a long day. I went after the day job, but at one point I was like, yeah, I took off the glasses and I got comfortable and and I didn't even have my movie blanket. I'm one of those people who, I take the backpack and the blanket and I might, sneak in some of my own snacks because the markup on movie theater candy is ridiculous. But that's a different
Yes.
story for a different day. So I didn't even have all my usual movie accoutrements with me. But I found myself dozing a little bit. And I would have to say, like you, it wasn't necessarily that the movie was just boring, but it got to parts where it had a hard time keeping my interest. So I'm going to say something in a moment, and I want to see if you agree. I will say I do think that Jonathan Majors was the best part of the movie. I was really interested to see his turn as Kang, and then when you make the connection between Loki, like this is basically a continuation of Loki part of Loki the series because he's the same character. We find out what happens to his character who's like the Time Lord in Loki. And so I was thinking, well, damn, Loki should have just been the movie or the thing to kick off MCU Part 4, Phase 4.
Yeah, I can see that. And I will agree with you. Like, I will agree that Jonathan Majors was the best part of the whole entire movie. He kept you enthralled when he was on the screen with his character, wanting to know more about his character. I will say, I think that I'm sorry, they picked the wrong Marvel character to start off phase 4.
Yeah.
Like, people are not invested in Ant-Man the way that they're invested in other characters. Like, I feel like at this point, you could have started this off with the new Captain America, or you could have started this off with the new Black Widow, or, you know, I feel like even Hawkeye could have started off this phase 4. But Ant-Man is like one of the least interesting characters to really drive the next phase of the Marvel universe. And so, watching the movie, and I love Paul Rudd. Don't get me wrong, love Paul Rudd. Everybody else, but Paul Rudd, that's my dude. But I will even honestly say, as a fan of him, he did not truly introduce phase 4 with the excitement that I should have for the Marvel universe.
Yeah. And I agree. Like I said, I think this would have been, because Loki was amazing, and I understand. Um, they should have released Loki now, even if you were going to do it as a series. I think they missed time the releasing of Loki, especially if you knew that Jonathan Majors was going to be in. He was going to be the new big bad of Phase 4. And then having, because of the connection, and so much has happened in the MCU between Loki, which was kind of out of place when you think about the grand scheme of everything that was going on. So I think Loki the series would have been a great Loki introduction, and then because it was released when, what, last year, the end of 2020.
Yeah, it was released. You mean Loki, right?
Yeah,
Loki was released early last year. So, like, the early part of last year, 2022, is when Loki was released. And so, yeah, I think that not necessarily that it needed to be released right now, but I think they should have released it like at the towards the end of last year.
yeah,
And then had the sorry, and had the anticipation of a couple of months of saying, okay, story will be continued with Ant-Man and the Wasp,
yeah.
you know, so that we knew what was coming in a couple months. But I think it was just too much time in between Loki and this movie.
Yeah, and I like what you did there. I caught that. And I agree. And so because once you put it together and you realize, because I I remember hearing at the end, I remember when we watched Loki, that Jonathan Majors and his character was going to come back. Although we didn't really know the character as Kang. I think we just knew him as the Time Lord, and we saw all the time deviations, or I call them time goblins. So we saw all the deviations of him as at the end. And so I just think, like, again, it was too much time. And so this Loki, what 6 episodes? I think Loki would have been a great placeholder, an introduction, like I said, a low key introduction to Phase 4. Um, After Black Panther, have it on Disney, and then you still have some time. So that, like, that 2.5 month period, those 6 episodes of Loki, 6 weeks. You have a few weeks in between. Look at me. Marvel needs to hire us. We make them some money. But yeah. And I think it also would, because Loki, even though he was supposed to be a secondary character, and we all know he was never supposed to be as popular as he was. Credit
He
Tom
was actually
Hiddleston,
supposed to be killed.
yeah, several times, but credit Tom Hiddleston for being so amazing with that character. So Loki, is probably the most popular secondary character in the MCU who has become a main character. I think it would have been great, especially if you had decided not to give Loki his own movie. But yeah, so and I think it would have also done a lot more to gin up the anticipation to Ant-Man, who, I was telling someone that Ant-Man is probably one of my least, out of this whole series. Ant-Man is probably one of my least favorite, and it has nothing to do with Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. The movies have been okay. They've been mid. The second one was actually really good, with Hannah Joy Kamen, I think was her name. I
Hmm.
thought that one was more compelling, and they got Michelle Pfeiffer out of Quantumverse, who hats off to Michelle Pfeiffer. She looked amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I loved her, and I love that they have her kicking ass in this movie. And she even, to me, had more of a role and was more useful than the Wasp. I've never really been a fan of hers, of the Wasp, or I'm not a big Evangeline Lilly fan, but it was like everyone else, even his daughter. I think he had more chemistry and more to do with than the Wasp. So yeah, but it was it was okay. So, what is something besides Jonathan Majors, and we're going to get more into Kang in a little bit because I have some questions to ask. But
Okay.
um, what else is something that you enjoyed about the movie, or something that you found interesting?
See, that's the thing. No, I ain't got nothing else for you. We not. We can't drag that. We can't drag that. No, like I said before, and I will continue to say it. Not
There was
boring.
nothing.
It wasn't boring. I didn't necessarily find it boring. I found it dry, and the dry is what made me drowsy. I was leaning back. I was sitting forward, trying to keep myself focused because it was just dry. Like there was no true excitement through the whole entire movie. I agree with you. I think Michelle Pfeiffer was kicking ass in that movie. I think Paul Rudd, and I'm telling you, one day he gonna have to bottle what he used, right? Because that man is aging so well. Okay, amazingly well. All right, Evangeline Lilly, not so much. Like, didn't you feel she looked a little bit older than him? And it sounds a little ageist, and I'm sorry if it does, but like I just felt like they
She
didn't
looked.
match.
She looked. She looked older than her mother.
Yes. Yes, it was like she just looked
Was
old,
it the
and
haircut?
I think it partly was the haircut. I truly think it was partly the haircut. The haircut was awful. It was an awful cut. I'm sorry. Not every person can carry off that short haircut, and she is not one of them. But she would be the boring part. Like she was just there. Um, his daughter, I agree, she had way more to do than the Wasp. Um, even Michelle Pfeiffer's character, but I'm gonna be honest, like besides kind of seeing the connection of Kang the Conqueror, no, I like it was just a movie that like I feel like this movie was a movie I had to stay and watch because we were reviewing it, not because I wanted to stay to see. Like even the end credits, which always come up. There's always a post credit. There's always an end credit. I only stayed because I was just like, ooh, if we talk about this, I'm gonna have to know like what the end credit and post credit is. But if we weren't reviewing this and I had went to see this in theater, I'd have bounced out before the end credits. Because it was blah to me. So it really is not that much I can truly point out because I didn't get invested in the characters who were on that planet. I didn't get invested in them. Like some of the roles and some of the lines and the scenes, they were cute. They were cute. But is it something that I can truly point out as it pulled me in or it kept my interest? No, I can just say, oh, that was cute. That was cute, but like the whole movie was just dry from beginning to end. And I also feel, in a way, like y'all felt y'all was justified in researching the quantum realm and without any input from her mom, and never thought, as genius as all of y'all are supposed to be, never once thought there may be a reason why.
She didn't want to talk about it.
She didn't want to talk about it. There may be a reason why it wasn't all roses. Where she was, where she ended up for 30 years. I just felt like there was holes in the story. As I'm talking about it, I realized like there were holes in the story that were never plugged. There were holes that were never plugged. They were just brushed over and they just
Yeah.
moved on to the next part. So no, I'm sorry. No, I ain't got nothing for you. My bad.
Yeah.
Moving on.
And Like, okay, we know Ant-Man and the Wasp, they got caught up in the blip. Did her parents get caught up in the blip? I don't think. I think they all got. Yeah, they did because
Yeah,
the blip happened at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
yeah.
Okay, so
They all
except
got
for
caught
the
up in the blip.
daughter and how she became so smart is she. I did like the way that they were meshing as a family. I love that. But and I'm with you when you said that. It was like, okay, but you have to think about it. The woman spent 30 years in the quantum realm, right? And then as soon, like literally as soon as she got out of the quantum realm, she was caught up in the fucking blip. Like, give her some time to deal with the trauma and the PTSD of those two life altering events, you know, to just kind of catch up and talk. And just because she doesn't want to talk about it doesn't mean it's up to you to go digging into it, especially something you don't know, like you said, you don't know anything about, and something that was so obviously so dangerous. Um, so I agree. This is one of those episodes where I'm like, okay, after you say what you gotta say, it really isn't a lot. So I'm gonna ask the question, some of the things I read. So do you think that Ant-Man should have been a series? Like, do you think Ant-Man should have been unlike Hawkeye, which I think Hawkeye was better served, even though I personally love Hawkeye. I think I understood it better and I liked what they did with it as a series. But Ant-Man is one of those, I don't even know if it should be a series. Like, where does it go from here? Should he just be featured in the adventure movies or what?
So I understand giving the first movie, right? I get the first movie. I'll even say this I guess this I okay, let me think about this. Sorry. Let me get my thoughts. Okay. So I got it. What I will say is I think they tried it, and I think it was a good idea to take Ant-Man and make into a series. Like I see where they were trying to go with it, right? Because the character of Ant-Man is actually supposed to be a fun character, right? Because he's silly, but he's like he's the fun sidekick kind of character, right? But he's still a main man, right? Like he's still a main character. So I definitely see, but what I think is that he gets overshadowed by the genius of everybody else around him. And I think that's what it is that he's not necessarily the main character in his own series because everybody else around him is really smart. And granted, I never watched the TV show. If there was a TV show, I don't know. And so I don't necessarily know that much about Ant-Man, but I thought of Ant-Man the way that Aquaman is, right? Because they're like, why are you making a movie about a dude that talks to ants? And they say the same thing about Aquaman. Why are you making a movie about a dude that controls the sea? Like, like how far are you gonna get with that?
Because it's Jason Momoa? My
but, but
bad.
but here's the thing. It's the different characters because the way that they have created Aquaman for Jason Momoa is he's serious, he's sexy, he's brooding, he's debonair, like that kind of character, right? Like he's fierce, he gonna kick your ass kind of thing, right? And I think with Ant-Man, I don't think that resonates as well in multiple movies as it will with Jason Momoa. Hopefully they don't crap on it. But I think the concept that they have for Aquaman on Jason Momoa, which I think they have implemented a little bit of his persona into who Aquaman is, right? So you could really sell it. I don't think that resonates as well with who Paul Rudd is and like kind of integrating his persona into who Ant-Man is as a character that can carry a movie series multiple times. And I think that's ultimately, do I make sense? Am I making sense?
You are.
Okay. Okay. I was like, I hope I'm making sense. So I think that although I can see the fun of Ant-Man when they first started out, I think Ant-Man should have started main. And granted, I don't think they could have done this when they made him a main character in order to make him then turn him into a side character. But I think like introducing him as a main character with his own movie. The first movie, second movie was good. But I think part of the reason why it was good is because of the silliness of it. I think this movie was more serious. It was more about the geniuses around him and not necessarily about him. And so it didn't sell as well as when you remember like his sidekicks, right? Like all the criminals that he had around him and them going back and forth and bantering and everything. That's what kind of sold Ant-Man to me, right? Like that kind of vibe, that fun, that real chill back, kind of thing. But this one is like, I felt it was more serious and it was more about the genius of Hope and whoever else the other characters are. Sorry, I can't remember their names. Their
His
character names.
daughter and
Yeah,
her
yeah,
parents.
Hope and his daughter and the mom and the dad. Like it was more about them than it was about him. And when you take the attention off of Ant-Man and what he does and how he sells the movie, I think that's what made the movie uninteresting to me. Because that means you're turning this movie into every other Marvel movie rather than making it his own. Because it was a vibe that Ant-Man had that could sell that movie. And I think they are changing the vibe and it's not working for the character. So now I'm like, make him a side character then. Like have him come in for the Avenger movies now, because I don't think this big movie of his own is going to sell anymore. Like Ant-Man, that whole vibe is no longer.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I I I get you, and I
Okay.
think he's probably even one of the secondary Avengers. Like I understood the movie at the time, especially in Phase Two, um, to the introduction, and it was great. But I think he should have been one of the characters that you moved because again, y'all messed it up. Like read the room. Everyone wanted the Black Widow movie. You made it too late. WandaVision could have been its own movie. You did great as a series telling the story, but everyone wanted the Scarlet Witch movie. You
Which
turned
was
it
the best
into
part of Doctor Strange.
you turned it into a series, which was good. So you that worked out. But I think that Ant-Man would have probably been better as series on Disney Plus, especially if you were telling the story. And that's what I said. Like they could have started, and that's what I was saying, going to at first or alluding to at first. I think they probably should have switched Loki, like introduced his character. Like we should have seen the stuff from the quantum realm, maybe, and had this been the series that introduced Kang, and then see the reaction, see it in Loki. Like Loki should have been the movie, vice versa. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. And again, I think this is one of the things. What drove me is and the reason I put it on the list is because it was the big introduction to MCU Phase 4, and so I figure, okay, it's going to be important. Um, and also because I am a huge Jonathan Majors fan, and I can't wait till, and I'm calling it now. He's going to win an Oscar, not for this role. I'm not saying for Kang, but just his body of work. Somewhere someday that man is going to win an Oscar. He is just that good of an actor. He's one of those actors that we talk about. That takes every role, no matter what he's playing, and makes it his own. Like he embodies the role, and so yeah, kudos to him. And I'm glad he's finally getting his flowers. But so yeah, it was a lot, and I did kind of enjoy seeing the quantum realm because we talked about it, and it kind of refreshed like what was going on in Ant-Man, and the quantum realm played such a big um role in the Ant-Man story. So I was happy to see what the universe or what that universe was like. And I think they did a good job, and it was really interesting. And I'm with you. I did miss the side characters. I did miss his little criminal crew. The security guys, they were funny. And at points they were the best parts of the movie. And I think they took away some of that comic relief, that Paul Rudd's understated comic genius. Like you got it, you got the sarcasm, you got the funny bits, but it was mostly um, in bits. It was during the monologue, like when he was talking about his book. I love the part where they even poked fun at him being like a secondary Avenger because no one quite knew who he was. They knew he was an Avenger. They knew he was important, but he was like, "Oh, you're the bug dude. You're the bug dude." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's me." And then he was like, "All right, see you, Spider Man." And then, and he gave him the coffee and the donuts free. And then at the end, after he saves the world again, he goes into the coffee shop. He goes, "I remember you now. Hey, Ant-Man." Yeah. And he's like, "Okay, $12." And he's like, "What?" So I loved how they poked fun at that. But like you said, they this one was just that one that was too serious. Like, I understand it took itself too seriously, and for an Ant-Man movie, and I understand what you were dealing with. So I understand there were moments that needed to be serious, but you still needed to. I think you lost some of the humor in that. But yeah, okay. So I have another question about Ant-Man. Then we can talk a little bit about the future of MCU and rate it. Um, do you think some of the reviews, like I was reading, and I think before I saw this, and this kind of, I was like, holy shit, what have I done? Like, I saw that it had the same score as Eternals, and I'm like, oh fuck no. I was like, fucking hell no. And when I saw it, I was like, oh god, she's gonna kill me. Like, she is going to kill me because I think we both hated Eternals. Is that fair?
Yeah, that was the most boring MCU movie ever.
Yeah, like I put on
And
Eternals
that's
when
saying I love the actors and actresses, but boring.
yes, all of the actors, like amazing actors. The movie was just bad, and for a Marvel movie, I was like, ugh. Now, and I put on Eternals when I'm about to fall asleep, like when I can't sleep and I need to go to sleep. Like, that's the movie. So, was it? Is that a fair assessment to put it on the same level as Eternals in your mind?
Yes.
Oh wow.
They didn't, I will say it again and I'll simplify it even more. They did not take advantage of the simplicity and the sarcastic vibe of Ant-Man. It was too serious of a movie. It took itself too serious. There weren't enough light moments. Even in the midst of serious moments, I feel like this would be the perfect movie for Ant-Man to lighten it up. And he didn't have his crew with him to lighten it up. Like, and everybody around him was like blah. So yeah, like, I mean, look, I had to sit up, lean back. I was in the comfortable chairs in the movie theater and I kept putting down the recliner, putting it back up. Like, I could never truly like get into a vibe where I was just like, all right, I'm good, I'm ready, let me just watch this movie. Like, no, like I had to keep moving to keep myself interested, and I just could not keep my interest. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was Eternals.
yeah, see, and I'm gonna disagree with that. It wasn't quite Eternals for me. It wasn't that bad. And I agree with you. It was dry
You gonna
and it
watch
was
it again?
blah. Probably not. No.
Okay.
But and I'm one of those people. I'm one of those rare people that if I watch a movie, like, I'll buy. I have my movie library. I'm hitting close to 1,000.
Yeah, it's
Um,
ridiculous, y'all.
but I'm really one of those rare people that I have it just in case, like, someone comes over and like, hey, you want to watch a movie? This is really good. But it's rare that I go back and I watch a movie over again. Like, I have some, like, Remember the Titans. I can watch that all day, every day. But so there are a few that are ultimately ones that I have to watch again. So me saying I won't watch it again is not necessarily uh a pan on the movie. But no, this is definitely one that I would not watch again. If someone says, hey, let's watch Ant-Man and Wasp, do you want to watch something else? That would probably be my thing. Now, having said that, I will add it to the collection because it will be part of the MCU. Like, I have the Eternals just because it's part of the MCU. But yeah. So no, it was not that bad for me. Okay, so I have a question. Is Kang, in this version of Kang, is he really dead? Do you think he is?
No.
No. Okay. Um, do you think that um is he is he the epitome of the anti-hero, or yeah, the anti-hero, or because it's like and I got this feeling. And I asked this question because I don't know if I can't remember. I didn't go back and listen to Loki. But I can't remember if we discussed this part in Loki. where is he I understand Kang the Conqueror, he is the big bad for the MCU. But I have a feeling that there's more to him that meets the eye. Is he the big bad because he's truly bad, or because his methods in getting rid of the time deviations are too extreme? So is he truly bad, or is it his methods that make him bad?
He's truly bad. He literally conquers worlds and kill trillions of people. Like, there's no around that. I don't think they can justify it, because I'm sure Jonathan Majors is going to want people to justify. Like, they're going to, because of how amazing he's going to be in the role, which we can already see from Ant-Man and from this Ant-Man, that he's going to be an amazing actor in the role, that we're going to want to believe the bullshit that comes out of his mouth about he is justified in what he has been doing, because what comes beyond who he is even worse than that. But that is of his opinion. And I don't think I just don't think, like, you can't, there's no anti-hero on the fact of you've already murdered trillions of people, and you're willing to murder trillions more just for one timeline to be all income. I can't say the word. To like be, the one true timeline. Like, no, you're not an anti-hero, you're just a villain. Like, he's not a Loki. He's not a Loki.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm interested to see. And it's starting to come back to me, but like again, I don't know if this is something. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I didn't. I don't know if we knew at the time quite what his role would be and how it would play out, or where we would see him again. But I'm interested to see what the other deviations are like. Like, are we going to? Because it was cool in the post credit scene to see some of them, and they were happy that they thought he was dead, and it looked like they really were about to unleash hell. But they were, so it's like, okay, and they called him the exiled one, and so, and like I said, I was like, damn it, if I remembered this, I should have gone back and watched at least the last episode, rewatched the last episode of Loki or what have you. But I remember the timelines breaking up. I remember him being just weird about the time and obsessive about the time. And he was on that bullshit. But then I remember when they started breaking, how he freaked out about the splits. So it's just going to be interesting to see if he's the only true version that we're going to see wreak havoc, or if we're going to get some of the other Kangs or other timeline goblins wreaking havoc throughout the series. Like, I'm really interested. I understand he's a bad guy. I understand it, but I guess my question is he the lesser of all the time evils? And it that I would be interested to see how that plays out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so now I have a question. So the word on the streets is that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be the lead Avenger for the new Avengers. And I think the next Avengers movie already has a title, the Avengers in King and the Conqueror or something like that. And I forgot, but you're good with that?
He couldn't even handle when he was first put in charge.
Well, who else is left? He's older now. He's more mature.
He's 20.
Well, it's gonna be some years, and then he's had to
Okay, he'll be 22.
He's had to live his life without his best friend and his girl, because MJ and Ned don't remember him, and he can't go back and undo that. Although that would be really interesting if Kane kind of plays with that, and offers to fix what he and Doctor Strange broke, or
So who's going to be part of this new, like, okay, so then I have a question.
uh-huh.
Give me some characters that would be part of this new phase 4, that would be front and center for this new Avengers team.
Captain Marvel, Captain Marvels. I'm not sure which one, if it's going to be all three or, um, the Falcon. Well, now Captain America, probably the Winter Soldier. Gosh, Ant-Man, I'm assuming. And then they are coming. I think they're starting to cast for the Fantastic Four, and gosh, I don't know. I know throughout the series, I'm one of the things I'm interested in seeing in this new Phase Four is how they're going to incorporate the X-Men now that they have the rights back, and now that they're able to do so. Because T'Challa and Storm, like that was the love of his life. So, and they had a kid together. So, I'm interested to see how they're going to incorporate them. But those are some of the characters I can think of off the top of my head. Ironheart, who we met in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, she's taking over as just like she did in the comics, for Iron Man, and I really think that would be cool. I don't know if I would want an Ironheart movie or an Ironheart series. I think a series would be kick ass with Ironheart. Um, Maybe the new Black Panther. Um, so those are just some of the people I can think of off the top. I forgot the movie that Yelena's going to top line. It's going to be Yelena, Black Panther, Black Widow's sister, and some other heroes teaming up together. I forgot the name of that movie, but yeah. So some of those people, and of course Doctor Strange. I'm sure he's going to fit in there somewhere too.
I was writing them down so I can see what this list looks like. Yeah, I see at least 4 people that's better than having Spider-Man run this.
Oh,
Captain Marvel,
okay,
um, the new Captain America.
okay.
I could even see Winter Soldier because he don't give two fucks. But also, he's kind of like Tony Stark, and he sees the bigger picture in a lot of things. That's the reason why he released. I forgot what the evil dude was.
Thanos.
The Baron. When he
Oh,
released them,
in Captain America movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when he released him, because he knew that he was needed, like he needed him in order to move forward. So I could definitely see him doing that. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I just Spider-Man's too young. He doesn't have the mental capacity to deal with it. No matter what trauma he's gone through recently, I don't think that's gonna make him grow up enough to run the Avengers, to be the leader of the Avengers. He's not a Captain America. He's not even an Iron Man, who basically you could fight over who was really in charge. Then again, Iron Man had the money, but Captain America ran the team. But yeah, I don't think he has what it takes. But you know what? What do I know? That's on Marvel. Tom Holland, they're gonna want to try to keep him as much as possible into the Marvel universe. So, because he's a big star.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if that was, short of giving him another Spider-Man movie, which I don't know if he really wanted to carry a movie. I think that might have been a good compromise, but I know people are excited to hear that he's coming back as Spider-Man because I think, we've said it before, Andrew Garfield was a great Peter Parker, or was it opposite? Toby Maguire was a great Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man, and Tom Holland is the perfect combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I really am interested to see how that story picks up, like him and MJ, and I really I wouldn't want to reboot it. Like even if he didn't play Spider-Man again, it's like don't reboot it all over. Just find a way because with the different and the way you could do that now without having to reboot all these
The timeline.
go yeah, without going all the way back to the beginning, is you have all these different timelines now. So you could quite easily just, and I'm not saying, I don't mean this to sound as blasé, but you could quite easily recast Spider-Man in those roles and pick up the story and just have it, something similar happen in a different timeline. Like we've been introduced to that enough now to know that that is quite possible. So, but if the word on the streets is true, I'm glad he's staying, and I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, um, I'm looking forward to see what's next. I think the next one is Captain Marvel this summer. Um, so or the Mar I want to
What
call them
about
the
Guardians
Marvel.
of the Galaxy?
Oh yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy's coming out one soon. That's the finish. That yeah. I saw the. Did you see the preview or the trailer?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, Eddie, that's X'd out. Don't even try it.
You don't want to watch
No,
Guardians of the
I don't want to
Galaxy?
review it. I don't want to review it. I'm not. They are the one group where I'm not excited. Like, there's nobody on that cast that be like, "Yo, I gotta go see this movie." Like, no one.
Yeah, I'll go see it. But the second one, I wasn't. The first one was amazing. I loved everything about it. The soundtrack, I thought it was great. The second one, yeah, it was a little much. The third one, I don't know. And I guess switching universes. I guess Guardians of the Galaxy and seeing what he did with Suicide Squad and just hearing about some of the things they have planned makes me skeptical about James Gunn's run as the head of the DCU. So we'll see. I'm holding out optimism, but yeah, I really don't know. But yeah, so Guardians of the Galaxy. But since they're checking out pretty much, since they're done, I don't know how much this is going to be related to Phase Four as a whole. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think if any of them showed up in the Avengers, it would be probably like Rocket or Groot, or maybe one of the side characters. Like they're introducing Will Poulter, who I love. So they might, so maybe he might carry on unless we get a new iteration of the Guardians. But I don't think the main characters would show up. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how big of a role they'll play overall. So I don't know if we'll see any Kang in this, or maybe we'll see references to Kang. I'm not really sure, but so I'm really excited about Captain Marvel, and yeah, we'll see. Okay, so I guess that does it. You got anything else to add? Anything you're looking forward to from Phase Four?
No, just bring on the movies and the TV shows. Let's see what I'm interested in. I only know about the Marvels. That's the only one that's got my interest in.
Yeah.
What else coming? Oh, and I am interested in Captain not Captain Marvel, Captain America 4.
Yeah. And one more thing about Loki. So the final scene, do you think Loki season 2 is going to pick up from that final scene and maybe it's going to deal with that timeline or what? Like, I don't know.
Um, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would
I
hope you
just
wouldn't show it without bringing some context to it.
yeah. I think Loki also we could probably add him to the Avengers list.
No.
Um Especially since I think in a role I think since he has history with Kang, and at this point he will probably be the one with the most experience. I would expect him to show up in the Avengers um, because of his experience and his history with King. As far as being a leader, oh God, no. But I could see him being part of the crew reluctantly, and he would probably Loki it up at some point. But again, um, I see that. I see that being a very strong possibility. All right, so you got anything else you want to add before we rate this baby? Pop it up, pop it up.
No, let's rate it.
All right, what you got? How many popcorns are you giving this? Oh God, is it a Mulan? Oh God, I'm scared.
No, I'm gonna give it a 2.25.
Oh shit.
For being not boring, but also not interesting and very dry. So you get 2.25 popcorns. I will never watch this movie again. What about you, Eddie? I know you were way kinder than me.
Yeah, I was teetering on the brink. I initially I was going to give it a 2.75, but I fell asleep. Um, and so I'm gonna have to take off some for that. And so it gets a 2.5 straight down the middle. I'm just gonna,
Not
man,
too good, but not too bad.
yeah, and it's kind of like the popcorn I had. I tried something different. Like I love the custom popcorn that you can order, and the caramel corn and the cheese corn. Great mix. Hear me out, pop stars. You know popcorn is my thing. Caramel corn and cheese corn. Great mix when you order it, right? So I go to the movies and I'm feeling kind of like, oh, okay, let me try the gourmet popcorn. And so I go and I'm like the caramel and the cheese, and it was the nastiest shit ever. And so it was like, can I get my money back? Like, what is this? Like, dude, I wouldn't even give that shit to my puppy. I don't even think my puppy would eat it. And he's at the phase where he will eat anything, okay? Like, we just now got him to stop trying to eat his own poo. Like, that's where we are with him. That's how
Oh
puppy he
shit.
is. So I don't even think Bear would eat that combination. Yeah, so that's where we are. That's what it is. It's a 2.5 stars. And I like I said, it will go in the collection just simply because it's part of the Marvel, it's part of the MCU, and it will be there. Um to say, look, I have all the Marvel movies, like bragging rights, But is it something I'm going to go back and watch? Probably not, unless it's one of those times when I just get a hankering, I get bored, and I decide to go back and watch the movies either in chronological order or how they were released. So, but yeah, 2.75. So I guess that does it for no 2.5. Sorry. I guess that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Want to thank you for joining us as usual. And please be sure to listen, like, follow, comment anywhere, and subscribe anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the popcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Poppy the pop, 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 pop.
Pop, pop,
It's
pop,
like
pop.
that. It's kind of like that nasty ass popcorn I had. But thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week. You might as well just call this like a Jonathan Majors double feature, because next week we are reviewing Creed 3, and I, for one, cannot fucking wait. Like, I'm excited. The trailer looks amazing. Um, and the story just looks really good. The reviews have been okay. The reviews haven't been too bad. I don't read the full things, but just the headlines of the reviews I've seen haven't been bad. So um, we will see. Are you looking forward to that one?
Of course. It's Michael B. Jordan.
My bad. Michael
And
Bay,
Tessa Thompson. And Tessa
Michael
Thompson.
Michael Bay and Tessa, baby. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it too. So be sure to join us then. And until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.